We're all storytellers and try to judge the work, not the person, not the mode of publication. And when you buy a self-published book, you're actually promoting the viability, you're supporting the viability of the industry.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unfiltered Voices, the podcast that is all about busting the myth that self-published is second-rate. I'm Kelly Nissen. I'm an author coach and a self-published author, and I'll be talking to authors, illustrators, and other self-published industry professionals about their choices, their journeys, and everything in between. So stick around. Even though there is this artificial divide, it's like, oh, I'm traditionally published, oh, I'm self-published. All authors will go through the same struggles, the same self-doubt, the same angst, the same, oh, this is no good, nobody's ever going to read a word that I've written, and the same joy when you pick up a book and hold it and it's got your name on the front and you know that you've bled your heart and soul into that book, and that if it makes a difference just for one person, your job is done. So why there's a divide, I don't know, and why there isn't more
I think
collaboration.
we've commodified everything with books. So I think the problem is everything becomes, it used to be about the work. In the old days, it was literature and it's all about the writing and beautiful writing. Then, the market grew, it became very commercial, or the publishers crop up, different modes of publication recently, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it is no longer about the work. It then became about the person and the backstory. So it was like a package deal. And
Mm.
that makes sense when you think about like Australian Idol or any one of 143 mind-numbing reality shows where it's not really about their talent per se singing. It's about where did they come from? What
Yeah.
challenges have they faced? And some people have more challenges than others. Some people have like phenomenal challenges, but they have
Mm.
award-winning ability to deal with them. Others are crushed at the first sign of defeat. So
Mm.
it's safe to say we've all overcome challenges. Some, I guess, relatively speaking, have extraordinary challenges we could not even
Imagine.
probably
Yeah.
relate to. But now it hasn't even become about that, the work
Mm.
or the person, the artist, and the backstory. It's become about the mode of publication. So
Yeah.
it's really more about, oh, who published you? We've somehow become
Yes.
elitist, where we're thinking, and also comparative, like, oh, which if it's traditionally published, a big publisher or just like a little one who does
Ah,
eight
yes.
books a
Yes.
year, which is, oh, that's good, but it's not really like you haven't made it,
Yeah.
versus self-publishing, which is like, oh, my condolences. It's almost dismissive at times. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
being facetious, but not far from it. So I would love to see, I'm not quite sure how, there for all of these categories to be kind of subsumed, not literally in the marketplace, but when we talk, that we're talking about the work. We're
Mm.
talking about the work as the product of a person who's a storyteller. It does not matter. I don't care whether you pasted your book together, with sticky
Mm-hmm.
tape and ribbon, whether you published it yourself and there's six typos in it,
Mm.
whether it came out from one of the top three publishers. I'm not judging you. I'm just embracing that work. I might not like that work. I
Mm.
might kind of like it, but not love it. There's a lot of books I read lately that I just think are meh, like
Mm.
they're not terrible, they're not brilliant. Then there's some that you're like, oh my God. But I also
Yeah.
know there are a lot of oh my God books that other people it leaves them cold, or books that are top commercial sellers that
Mm.
I couldn't even get past page 60. So thankfully, we all live in a world of free choice. We're all different. We all need to
Yes.
cater to unique needs. I'm not trying to sell the world on my book. I'm not trying to tell everyone, oh my God, I've been hard done by. Fragments is so good. Why?
Mm.
Why? I'm just saying, I think the way the industry is now doesn't really reflect the ideal aims and intentions of storytelling. It reflects a commercial market where there's a lot of cronyism, There's a lot of who you know, opportunities, yes, can come with very strict criteria, and things are judged and awarded properly, I have no doubt. But just behind the scenes, it's,
mm,
you need to go out to conferences, you need to network, you need to have a community. And I'm not trying to sound disgruntled or antisocial, but what if you just want to actually write stories? Like,
mm,
do you have to go out and befriend 312 people to hopefully kind of catch wind of an opportunity that you otherwise
mm-hmm,
wouldn't have, because it's all about the group that you're in. And then the longer you're in that group, they see that you've paid your dues, so they might invite you under their wing. I just wish
mm,
every publisher and every major body would just look at the issue globally and say, how can we help those who are disadvantaged? Don't
mm,
make a separate category. Don't do a poor cousin award. This is for the best book. This is for the best self-published book. I know you
mm.
have opinions on this.
Yes, yeah.
Um, I think it should be just inviting, like opening the umbrella to invite other people so that you're encouraging and promoting and entertaining their submission to be judged within the same criteria as the other. Because
Mm,
I'll put my books against any books that are commercially published.
mm. Absolutely.
You
And they
know,
would
I've read
stand up
many a
against them.
commercially published book that
Mm,
was not, top of the list. And I've
mm,
read many self-published that, I had issues with. But I
mm.
don't mind being judged against a larger community, but you can't get into that community to even be judged. I guess that's the point.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think to just to simplify all that, people are looking first at how it was published and
Mm.
then making a judgment and then perhaps reading and that but their reading of that book is somehow clouded by their prior
Mm.
knowledge. So
I'm still scarred from years ago, and I know I've told you this story. This is my first book, Trouble in Toontown.
yep.
And I was giving it to someone, as a gift that they had kind of hinted that they wouldn't mind having. And
Mm,
it's very colorful. And I would have thought the reaction I expected was like, oh wow, oh, it looks good. Thank you so much. That's great.
mm,
I look forward to reading it, even if they used it as a placemat.
yep.
But what they did instead was, huh.
Straight to the back.
And then they walked away. Thinking it was like a dismissive, I've never heard of this. It was a hybrid publisher that it was
Mm,
published through, but they weren't as impressed. So then I
yes.
thought, oh, okay. Well, A, it was a gift, so it wasn't like for an award or anything.
Mm,
Um, but I would sense they might not have picked it up. They
yep.
immediately lowered their expectations. So I don't know
Yep.
how we change that, but I
Yep.
feel like we just need to normalize self-publishing. It's not an unfortunate set of circumstances. It's just
Mm,
one mode of many. There's pros and cons, but there's pros and cons of traditional publishing. Yes, you
mm,
have much better distribution to offset the nightmare of trying to get your work seen, let alone sold,
mm,
self-publishing. But ironically, often the work is it goes through many processes, and it has to fit a house style, and it has to fit a market,
mm,
has to fit what the publisher is doing. If it's anything contentious, it has to pass muster with gatekeepers.
mm.
So there's a kind of collective watering down of maybe content or massaging of content, even if it's
Yes.
not watered down.
Hmm.
Whereas with self-publishing, ironically, like you're probably more of a risk taker
Oh yeah.
because it's all on you and it's
Hmm.
unfiltered, truly, like your podcast. So the
Yes.
funny thing is, you're probably getting more of a real take on issues.
Mm,
Whereas with a traditional publisher, yes, you get the distribution, but it could also take on average 18 months to 2 years to get a title out. I
absolutely.
didn't go with traditional publishing for fragments. I didn't even pursue it as an option because I had
Mm,
funding to do it myself. I just thought I need to get the work out sooner rather than later, and I can't be bound by someone else's
oh
time frame.
yes.
I can't afford to have it come out in 2028.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
look, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm slamming the industry because I have the utmost respect for publishers, for the industry.
Mm,
This is really just a product of simple economics, the way the economy works, the way
mm,
capitalism works. And
yeah.
I guess I'm just appealing to the people who are the powers that be to say, don't try not to leave people behind. So it's, yes, have the big names, but just maybe once in a while have
Mm,
on someone else. I'm not saying it should be me, someone, there's plenty of us.
yes, exactly. And like you just said, like we're not here, any of us, to slam the traditional publishing
No,
industry at
God,
all,
no,
but
not at
just to
all.
raise awareness that there is a whole group of authors out there who are not getting a look in, and that's a huge industry problem in
Mm.
itself. With that
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
exactly. And
So
that's why a lot of the big
yeah,
ones are acquiring the smaller ones because
yes,
there's, market forces at work, and that's just, simple economics too. And the bottom line is, if a traditional publisher saw that a self-published title was doing gangbusters, they
mm,
would make an offer to publish because every publishing decision is essentially driven by a commercial.
absolutely,
You need to be able to tell a story well, but it's ultimately about, will this sell? And how
yeah,
many will it sell? And will we cover our costs? And ideally, will we make money? Um, so they will look at self-publishing, but only as a commercial success factor. I guess I'm saying, why not look at it generally?
yes,
We're all in this together. We're
mm,
competitors, and hybrid models and self-publishing models technically might undermine the other sectors of the industry
mm,
over time as new models emerge, new ways of business, are developed.
mm,
But I really think there's still room to coexist kind of harmoniously,
yes.
and respect.
So at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want people to embrace books and literature and reading and story, because that's what human society is built on, is built on story.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So I just want to talk just quickly about booksellers, because we've talked about
Mhm.
publishers and
Mhm.
authors and that sort of thing. So I know from my own experience that actually, as a self-published author, getting your book into a bookseller um, is incredibly difficult. I know that there are booksellers that won't even look at a book if it's a self-published one, and then others like our own local bookstore here, who are
Mm.
so supportive. How would you like to see booksellers better supporting self-published authors, and what benefits do you think that this relationship could bring? So, we're talking about before about things benefiting, what's in it for me, what is in it for booksellers, if
Yeah.
they build that relationship.
I'm of two minds on this one too, because on
Mm,
the one hand, I think again, it's the commercial model versus, I guess, more
mhm,
of an arts creative community model. And yes, they're a bookshop, whether they're small or big, they're there to make money, which is why
mm,
they sell a lot of giftware and
yes,
respectfully paraphernalia,
mhm,
that is along the theme of bookish stuff, but not really, because
mm,
that's the stuff that will sell. People don't read enough. Our eldest didn't want to read. He was a very reluctant reader.
mm,
So I had to kind of unlock the obstacle. He learned to read from things like Yu-Gi-Oh, which
yeah,
might horrify every teacher out there. So I'm not elitist when it comes to reading. You could read the
yeah,
back of a cereal box, you could read street signs, you
mhm,
could read anything, just read. So
yes,
reading just needs to be kind of promoted. If more people read, maybe the bookshops could be more about books. And why don't local creatives band together? Because
mm,
even though you could say we're competitors because we all write and we're all trying to get books published, I don't consider that I'm competing with anyone because I don't honestly believe anyone's book is going to get picked up instead of mine, or if mine gets picked up, that means yours won't. If
mm,
someone buys your book, they're not going to buy mine. But what drives me a little bit insane is how we have gatherings and meetings at cost and conferences, and we
Mm.
promise all this inside information. And you get there, and I have not, this is why I don't go anymore. Plus, I'm busy. You get there, and there's not one thing that's really said that you didn't already know that
Yeah.
isn't readily available in a public capacity online. No one's
Yes,
giving
that's
away
so
trade
true.
secrets.
I have a number of soapboxes stored away that I like to get up on, and opening up that soapbox, as some of my writing group will be able to attest to, the soapbox of paid assessments at conferences
Yeah, I don't think it
is
should be. Mm.
yeah, it's there's something not
Yeah.
quite right about that.
And
It's
you know what?
mm,
Someone
but we
listening
all
to
do it.
this, I'm just, yeah, well, everyone does
Yeah.
it, but that's the thing. You live, it's like a pipe dream. Your
Yes.
soul, you know what? If you just take my course, I'll unlock the secrets of how to get published. I'll
Mm,
show you the steps of, I'll do this thing. And when you look at what's actually said and divulged, no different to what you could source yourself. You might learn some crafty bits along the way, which you could
mm,
learn probably at no cost through other channels,
mm.
but there's no cause and effect. So it's really, but oh, I just feel like I need validation. So I feel like I need to do this and pay that
Yes.
80. So then I'll be one step closer. But if you
Mm,
really look at it dispassionately from a distance, no, you don't. The bottom line is you need to do whatever you need to do to get through your day to make sense of your creative practice so that you feel good about yourself and that you can continue with hope,
mhm,
knowing there's no entitlement and there's no guarantee. And when things don't happen, pivot. I've been the master pivoter and take matters into your own hand and go, now,
mm.
what else can I do? I'm not happy with that. That's not happening. I can't change that. What can I do? How can I
Yes.
evolve? What new challenges can I overcome? Maybe I need to learn more. Maybe I need to talk to more people just for
Mm,
support. There's no prescribed model. And I think for me, most of it, and this isn't necessarily for everyone, for me, it's mostly a head game. You
oh,
know, I'm not,
yes.
not saying I'm the most brilliant writer in the world. I can learn more about writing every day, and I try
Mm.
to. I just don't like paying for someone to tell me things that I already know.
Yeah,
That's just my
absolutely.
kind of, pet peeve. But for me, it's mostly backing myself, being in the right headspace, to accept rejections, feedback. I've never had an issue with feedback. I've built many a
Mm.
career on like collaborative models and feedback. So that I don't take any offense with that. And even rejections, I truly don't take personally. I've
Yeah.
just tried to find ways that I can continue to evolve, continue to challenge myself, continue to learn, and all these things that we've talked about today, because people listening are going to think, gee, Maura, she's sounding a bit kind of cynical,
Mm.
and maybe is she just disgruntled?
Yeah.
Maybe she's just old and grumpy. I think the issue I have is everyone I've bumped into has said exactly what I've said
Mm.
today. I mean, maybe not in so many words, but everyone I bump into, people who are successful in publishing, you
Mhm.
would think would have no issues. People who are kind of early success, people who haven't had their work picked up, they're all saying the same thing, but they
Mm.
don't say it publicly
Yes,
because
and
then
that's the issue.
it's probably, I think you can be direct but respectful, and you
Yeah.
can just be clear and say, I have an issue with this. I think we should do this. I have trouble with the fact that the industry works like this. I don't mean anything personal. I'm not
Mm.
talking about the people behind those decisions. They're lovely. They work hard. They have thankless jobs. Some of their jobs are probably under threat because of the market
Yes.
and the economy. They have their challenges like anyone else does. I'm just looking at the issues dispassionately.
So the last question we had is, what's something or one thing that you wish readers, critics, publishing industry understood about self-published authors?
Well, I would probably say that, and you alluded to this before, you actually said this, we we're all storytellers.
Mm.
We all have journeys. We're all attempting to do the same thing, tell a
Yeah.
compelling story that people ultimately will want to hear, preferably, if all stories were free, it'd be fabulous, but preferably a story so compelling or relatable or relevant to their lives that they're willing to pay money for it.
Mm.
This doesn't have to be issue-oriented stories. This could be a thriller, crime,
Yeah,
or
anything.
romance, whatever your genre is. I also
Mm.
don't think there should be genres. That's probably a separate conversation. But we're all storytellers, and try to judge the work, not the person, not the mode of publication. And when you buy a self-published book, you're actually promoting the viability, like you're supporting the viability of the industry
Mm.
and the integrity of how the publishing industry works. From your little step of saying, I'm choosing you, this book on the shelf,
Mm.
however you heard of it or found it, that's another challenge.
Yeah.
But when you get it in your hand, just by virtue of that one purchase, where you're saying, well, I read the best book. This book was
Yes.
phenomenal. Like, I can't even believe no one knows about it. Tell
Mm.
your friends. If you love something, tell your friends. Post on
Yes.
Goodreads.
Yep.
Self-published authors can often have a direct link to their readers that traditionally published authors can't because there's other
True.
channels that they must go through
Yeah,
and post
I
on
hear you.
socials even,
Yeah.
so there's all the mechanics and the business end of doing that, but
Mm.
there's lots of things that we can do. Like, we're an unfiltered voice, we're a raw voice where we don't have to go through all the machinations, and if we're lucky enough to put our work out there and it's embraced by someone, yeah, tell your friends.
And I think that's the bottom line is, word of mouth is probably the best recommendation. If you've heard it from
Mm,
somebody that you like and you trust, it's
mm.
you're going to go with it, aren't you?
At the end of the day, we're telling stories. Be open to hearing a story and reading a story from an
Mm.
unusual and unlikely and unknown source that could change your world. And if you're lucky enough to experience that, you're supporting this industry, and by all means,
Mm.
spread the word.
Anyway, but thank you so much for your time. I knew that this would be an amazing conversation. I actually feel like we could just sit here all day, but we've
We
both got
could.
things to do. So, can you just let listeners know just quickly how they can get in touch with you, book you for presentations, and how they can buy your books?
For anyone in Canberra, my books are all available at the Book Cow in Kingston.
Mhm.
They're available at some other shops too, but more sporadically. But I'm pretty sure the Book Cow has every single title. If you Google any of my books online or me online, there's a variety of different online retailers, all the major ones, some minor ones you can get them through.
Mm.
On Instagram, I'm Maura Pierlot underscore author.
Mhm.
On Facebook, Maura Pierlot author. Again, if anyone just Googles my name, that's assuming they know how to spell it, most things should come up. Yeah, I can't think. Did you ask me
Yeah,
something
and
else?
and
I
there's
was
your YouTube um,
Oh,
series as
YouTube.
well.
Yeah, the
So,
YouTube channel is Big Ideas Press. So
mm.
if you either Google Fragments web series or Big Ideas Press YouTube, it should come up. There's also links in Instagram and Linktree for
Mm.
all of my work, including Fragments. So I just a last minute plea. This is all done with the best of intentions and respect
Mm.
to everyone working hard, creatives, publishing professionals, various industries. Most industries, not just literary, book industry,
Mm.
publishing, have the same kind of issues that they're grappling with. I guess
Yeah.
for me, it's just a plea to say what you mean, deliver. If you have an issue with something, to raise it
Mm.
respectfully. Let's keep the conversation going because it is. There's a subculture of conversation going on behind the scenes, hugely vocal, almost deafening, but no one's saying it to anyone who can do anything about it. I'm not trying to be like a downer, but you can still do that while saying, but if only, like, now let's look at
Yes.
how can we make things better? How can we change things? How can we invite more people in? How can we coexist harmoniously and respectfully?
Mm.
How can we improve diversity? How can we not judge by mode of publication? We need
Yeah.
to keep talking about that.
Absolutely. And it's just, be own what you say, basically. And
Mm.
you, at the end of the day, you have to live with what you have said or what you haven't said,
Yeah.
because that's a personal choice. But thank you so much. I
Yeah.
have
Thanks for asking
loved
me.
every second of this. I was so
Same.
thrilled when you said you'd come on. And thank you to everybody for tuning in to Unfiltered Voices. If you enjoyed today's episode, which I defy you to not do that, please make sure to subscribe, share, and drop a review. And definitely search out Maura on socials and elsewhere. Everything just helps to get amazing stories out there. And remember, we're here not to take anybody down, but to break that stigma around self-publishing and to support all authors, all illustrators, everybody in the creative industry. And if you would like to be interviewed on the show, please get in touch and we will catch you around next time.